Parousia 14. Does man see his life pass by, the good and the bad committed? The dying soul in the passage of death, does he see his life scrolling the good and the bad? Yes, well, I would say yes. It is necessary because all our life is of the different dispositions that we are going to choose for eternity in this third purgatory. I would say that the man arrives with what he is, what he has made, and that structures him. So there are three ways in which the film of life may be done. The first way, which is purely psychological, when a man, for example, is what says Guy de Larigaudy, a scout, when a man believes that he is going to die, one day he dives from the top of a cliff because there were girls looking at him. He wanted to show off in front of them, and during his drive before he arrived in the water, he had the impression that he was going to crush himself upon a rock that he had not seen. During that half second, he had seen all his life go by in a flash. Well, that does not come from God nor from angels. It is a phenomenon known as psychological acceleration. If he were to die at that precise moment in the passage of death, then he will have seen twice the vision of his life. The first time with Christ, in the light of Christ, who would have shown him in the light of all his love, his truth, his mercy, the good and evil committed, evil in truth. A sin remains a sin. Christ shows it accordingly, but without condemning, without crushing, but by forgiving, like the adulterous woman, by even positioning himself as the advocate of the poor fisherman, by showing the weaknesses and the struggle he has done against his weakness. The other way of looking at his life that must also be performed as with Lucifer. There it is a whole other thing. Lucifer life, it shows the moments of sin and especially of serious sin, in the admires them in showing freedom, the loneliness and freedom of the person, by showing how noble the soul was. It was here or his choice, and she has the right to be free. To stand, isn't she a human person? We can say that Lucifer first becomes a seducer. He seduces the souls truly by what he says. It is true then, when he looks at the acts of generosity that we have done, he truly illustrates this without mistaking the part of selfishness that was attached to the generous act. We have often done this for pleasure, and it is true. There we can say that they are attempting to drive us to despair. In relation to ourselves, the problem apologizes is what it is, that what he says is true. It means that in our acts of generosity, we seek our own happiness very often, and generosity is often an appearance. The intelligence of Lucifer as seducer, as tempter, then as accuser, when he desperately wants someone who calls upon Christ, who knows he is going to choose hell because he is so weak. Well, in these three acts that Lucifer performs, he is a bit like an adult compared to us who would be like 3 years old children. That means that if God allowed him to do so, no one will be saved, as we would by default choose hell. This is a supreme humiliation, but God allows this because the man can no longer, after believing that he is someone special. Obviously, the dogma of the time limits things by never saying that God will not tolerate us to be tempted beyond our strength. That means that at the same time where we are going to fall, Christ appears in all his glory. He comes as he has already arrived before. He arrives back. He always comes back if we call upon him. If, for example, we humbly acknowledge our sins, that we are repentant, that we have our soul fully turned towards Him as soon as He comes. St. Paul in the letter to the Thessalonians chapter 2 says this: the Antichrist, he will be swept away by the breath of the coming from Christ. However, it is necessary to go through this vision of the demon, because every man must be able to freely choose the way to where he will be for his eternity.